Yu-Gi-Oh's end-of-match procedures have been through some controversial changes lately. How to determine a winner when time's up but the match wasn't finished yet. The life point rule has been drawing endless outrage, and now, as you've probably heard, we've got a rather drastic change coming. Y'all know I'm not one to make YugiTube reaction videos lightly. I do the math first. So I analyzed the new time rule through the lens of game theory. However bad you think the new time rule is, the deeper I went, the worse it got. So come along with me on a journey of theoretical horrors, because a competitive game literally cannot function like this. First, I want to give a fair perspective. When Konami rents a venue to host a tournament, their contracts and our bodies have time limits. Matches must be completed on time so the venue can be cleared and everyone can go home. Back in my day, running out of time in the round meant playing out the next 3 turns. Today, that's a full grind game. So in 2018, tournament policy received a very controversial revision, which has significantly impacted how we play. I'll catch you up on the drama, and some of these problems will apply to the new time rule as well. When time is called, the game is locked into the current phase, and whoever has more life points wins. And because changing phases requires both players to pass priority, there will be no battle phase. By no coincidence, after this rule change, the game designers started slapping one random heal or burn effect somewhere into many of their favorite themes that were already designed to be top tier. So the final duel of your match will be a non-game that is instantly won by a random effect that virtually never impacts normal gameplay, often with the other player never getting a turn. Of course, this has encouraged stalling. I've had opponents who just sat there doing nothing, looking at 3 unusable cards for a minute until time was called, refusing to say end phase because I would immediately attack for game. There's no real enforcement mechanism against intentional slow play. There kind of can't be in this game. We can't use chess timers. I'm also regularly accused of intentional slow play myself. I play weird combo decks. I have to plan out my entire turn to account for whatever disruption the opponent may have, because if I accidentally land at 1 choke point, I'll lose. Are you kidding me? As I'm clicking end phase. This has led to more than just a sub-game of strategic stalling, also preemptive surrenders. Even if you have a chance to win this duel, you are incentivized to surrender to manipulate the clock in your favor. Losing to this rule feels awful and unfair. Many opponents have gotten very angry at me for winning in time. Mine is a quiet anger. And I won't be surprised if the new rule leads to some straight-up fistfights. So here we go. The new rule is that when time is called, both players lose. Full stop. Not a game loss, mind you, a full match loss for both players. No more draws, no more life points. Even if you won the first game and you are about to win game 2, when time is called, you instead lose the entire match. That already is outrageous, and it means that a player who is already going to lose can stall or slow play just to hit the time limit, just to force the opponent to lose 2 out of spite. This will cause fights. There is a silver lining at first, but watch, the deeper we go, the messier it's gonna get. In tournament standings, players who have accumulated the same number of wins and losses are not considered to be tied with each other. They are placed according to tiebreaker calculations. Basically, if you and I both have 2 wins and 1 loss, but your loss was to the undefeated king of games, and my loss was to my Valentine, then you are placed higher than me. Enjoy your invitation to Pegasus Island. Secure your grandpa. So, if you are going to lose the match no matter what, it is in your best interest to just let the opponent have their win. It'll boost your tiebreaker score. If both players are trying to reach the top cut of the tournament standings, then we generally can trust that the losing player will accept their loss. The spiteful stalling probably won't happen that often. At this point, I decided to map out my analysis using game theory, realizing the parallels with the famous prisoner's dilemma. Play along at home, see if you can figure out where this new rule is about to go horribly wrong. This is the payoff matrix of the basic prisoner's dilemma setup. We have 2 players who each have 2 identical options, whose combinations yield identical results. If one player attacks and the other concedes, the attacking player gets a big payoff and the conceding player is punished. But if they both shoot for that jackpot, neither gets it, and both are punished. Lastly, if both players concede, then each gets a small reward, no punishment. For a selfish actor seeking to maximize their own gain, no matter which option the opponent chooses, their own outcome will be improved by attacking, and so they will both end up attacking, thus ironically, they will get the overall worst outcome. Actors who cooperate selflessly will land here, which is less individually rewarding than the singular prize, but is the largest sum overall. This is the ideal solution to the game. If the prisoner's dilemma is played over multiple rounds, then altruistic players will actually end up richer than selfish players. It pays to be nice to each other. We can use this to model Yu-Gi-Oh's new time rule. If the opponent holds and you concede, you lose the match. If you hold and the opponent concedes, they lose. If you both hold out, neither of you concedes, then as per the new time rule, you both automatically lose and your tiebreakers are damaged. Let's plug in the earlier example. Yugi won the first game, and he was about to win game 2 when time was called. Yugi signals that he will not be conceding, and rightfully so. I mean, look at this board state. If Kaiba hopes to get the best score for himself, then his best option here is to concede. But what if there is no clear winner? It's game 3. Both players are slugging it out, evenly matched. It's anyone's game when time is called. Because each player believes himself to be in the winning position, both players will hold. But these players are good sports about it. They will cooperate and choose the mutually beneficial outcome. Remember the one that's up here in the corner? Oh, this outcome no longer exists in Yu-Gi-Oh! We still have the worst result, both players hold, therefore double loss, but if both players concede, there's no more draw option. That's just going to be another no result double loss. It's still a symmetrical matrix, both players have the same options and the same outcomes, but Konami has removed the possibility of a symmetrical or mutually beneficial reward. In other words, both players are punished unless someone concedes, but neither player is incentivized to concede, not even by social pressures. If Yugi and Kaiba both honestly believe that they deserve the win, then neither should concede, but that will produce the worst outcome. The solution would be for the players to decide differently from each other, but they're given the same options and the same incentives, and they're being asked to take the altruistic option despite their goal being to maximize their individual gain from this one-round interaction. There is no longer a logical strategy for either player. This breaks a game. So what we get is a game of chicken. You hold strong, just hoping that the opponent will cave first, and before the judge shows up with the double loss. Remember the scummy player who stalled just to drag the opponent down with him? Well, now both players are jerks, even though both are being reasonable. If there is a winner now, then it's just whoever bullied the other into surrendering. Or we literally flip a coin to decide who goes first, and that's not going to feel good either, nor is that allowed by tournament policy. Worst of all, after I mapped this out, I realized something mortifying. Have you caught it yet? Let's go back to that first example. Yugi was clearly about to win when time was called, so Yugi signals that he will hold, as he deserves to. Therefore, Kaiba's best option is to concede, so he at least gets the tiebreaker score. Or is that Kaiba's best option? Yugi has merely stated his intent to hold. There is no formal mechanism to lock in his choice, at least until the judge shows up and both players lose. Now, what if Kaiba is not a good sport, and is not swayed by the social pressure to honorably accept that Yugi earned this win? As an American, I can tell you that the social contract is not binding, and systems built on it can be exploited disastrously. We're not doing so well over here. Please invade and bring democracy. Kaiba says, "I see that you are about to win both duels, but I do not concede." And for Kaiba, this may be his best choice, because when he threatens the double loss, now it's on Yugi. If Yugi wants to get the best placement possible, then Yugi must now surrender the match, even though he was clearly the winner. Just like that, Kaiba is now officially the winner of a match that, by all judgments, he had already lost. And you cannot call this unsportsmanlike conduct, because tournament policy does not require the disadvantaged player to surrender. Kaiba was just following the rules as they were written. So yeah, this is miserable. You better pray to Ra that none of your matches even approach the time limit. This is not a game of strategy. This is a game of chicken. The life point rule was already toxic. This, I think, is worse. How can you have a competitive game that routinely hinges on both players subjectively agreeing which of them deserves to be declared the winner, while also incentivizing both players to disagree? I will end this analysis by addressing Konami directly, because I know John Konami watches my videos. You make this game. If you are desperate enough to speed up tournaments that you're resorting to a time rule that could not be farther from the game that we came here to play, you should start by fixing your game itself. It is your choice to print so many cards that do 3 to 5 things, plus triggers and conditions for each of them. It is your choice to make them overly technical, things like negating activations and negating effects being different things, requiring us to read and reread the cards very carefully to verify their exact wording for every interaction. Rather than clarifying how a weird card works, you've chosen to instead print hundreds of clarifications across other cards. This also applies to obscure technicalities like missing the timing, a completely illogical ruling that you made up 20 years ago to avoid having to issue an erratum for one obscure card, and we've been dealing with the consequences ever since. You can delete these unnecessary obfuscations from the rules, Konami. Nothing is stopping you, and I promise nobody's gonna make fun of you for admitting that you made a game design mistake decades ago. It is your choice to write these texts in increasingly verbose ways, making them take longer for players to read during a match, and using a layout that crams them into a 3-point font less than half the size of what's considered comfortably readable. I'm just speeding through some examples here. You can go back and pause if you are a literary editor, or you just care about the English language at all. It is most definitely Konami's choice to force unnecessary deck shuffling when the cards could have just gone on the bottom. We can bottom the cards, there's nothing wrong with bottoming. Not that I do that, I shuffle the deck, but I'm just saying, like, hypothetically, if someone else wants to, just let them, Konami. Along with making some actual attempts with speeding up the process of the game, there's still work to be done with tournaments. YCSs still have 30 minutes between rounds, which regionals have fixed. Don't pin this responsibility on the players with increasingly unfun end-of-match rules when you could still be shaving off time elsewhere. Thank you for attending my presentation on what's killing Yu-Gi-Oh! This week. This was an angry video, but I like to solve problems, and sometimes anger is necessary. I hope that my logical arguments here will help to dissuade Konami from imposing this particular rule, and maybe considering other rules, maybe giving a test run to one that gives both players a turn, maybe one that takes into account the stats of both players' monsters, maybe print some new Crystal Beast support. This is an affront to God. She would never have allowed a card this bad to be printed. There's a lot to be angry about today, like Nazis running governments 80 years after the fall of the Third Reich. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a silly, dumb game. I hope that we can continue to have silly, dumb things to help get us through the horrors. You can always play Yu-Gi-Oh! With your friends. If you have friends. For the rest of us, there's Nintendo. I apologize for the lack of recent videos. I do have a new computer on the way that is 46 times as powerful as the old lady HP model that I've been putting up with for the past year, and this was an upgrade from 2011 over here. Still got a Pusheen sticker. Is Pusheen still a thing? It was with my first boyfriend. He lives in Paris now, but I'm a Yu-Gi tuber. Yeah, it's taken a long time for me to respect myself and my tools and my sanity, so hey, if you stuck around to the end of this video and you haven't subscribed yet, why not give me a click? There will be more Yu-Gi-Oh! Videos coming up, more Pokemon, and more, you know, other stuff, because I make a lot of videos about a lot of stuff. I don't know what this was. Bye!